Welcome to Straight Shot Politics. Each episode will bring you in-depth discussion with experts, community leaders, and analysts who will share their insights, experiences, and predictions. From local elections to global diplomacy, we'll provide you with the tools and perspectives you'll need to navigate today's real-world landscape.
Welcome to Straight Shot Politics. This is Lisa Chafee. In studio with us today is Farxaan Jeyte. I always say your name wrong. I'm sorry. I met Farxaan last year when he was running for Columbus City Council. He is a small business owner, commissioner for the new African Commission endorsed by the governor. He is vice president of the Somali Chamber of Commerce and is president of the Somali Republican Club. And I'm sure you wear many more hats. I know you're a proud husband and father. Welcome, Farxaan.
Well, thank you for having me, Lisa. Thank you. It's long overdue, but finally I'm here.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm very glad to have you here.
Right.
I've really enjoyed getting to know you over the last year, and I have a lot of questions for you. So hopefully we can get to them in this little bit of time. But first, tell us a little bit about your background and what brought you here to the United States.
I am originally from Somalia, which is in East Africa. And unfortunately, every family has a conflict. So the Somalis decided to have a civil war, severe one. And fortunately, back in 1991, 92, the only nation that put the effort was the United States. And the president was my favorite Bush, George Bush. And I think my friend here was one of those young boys who came to help us out, to improve our lives, to enhance our lives. And we are ever grateful. And George Bush was the president that allowed us to have us as a refugee when we arrived here was back in 1994. We arrived in Springfield, Virginia. We stayed there for about 2 years and a half. Springfield, Virginia is not far away from Washington, D.C. And for new immigrant family, life out there is extremely expensive. And somehow, one of my uncle's friend wanted to marry a young lady in Indianapolis. He came to Indianapolis looking for love. And by the time he came to Indianapolis, the young lady was gone and she was already married to somebody else.
Aww.
Yes. So there was cell phone at the time, so it was just landlines.
Right.
And somehow they heard about a lady who lived in west side of Columbus, and they decided to crash her house. They came around, they say, around 1 a.m., and they stayed in her living room because there's no extra rooms. There's only 2 bedrooms. And when they woke up, they ate breakfast. While they sort of walking around, they watching TV, and they saw a commercial saying that warehouses are hiring. Mind you that back in Virginia, the rate of the only places that we could find jobs for my family, especially my father and my mom, were fast food restaurants, making $4.25 in 1994.
Wow. So
my uncle, when he saw the commercial, as little English I used to speak, he said he called, and it was extremely hard for them, both the other person on the other side of the other phone, to understand him, and he had a difficulty of explaining himself that he's seeking to be hired. Somehow, people somehow find a way to communicate. He ended up going to the same location using MapQuest. I don't know if you recall MapQuest back before GPS. And he went to the warehouse, and he got hired.
Oh.
Well, 3 weeks later, the whole family moved in Columbus. That's how Columbus became the hub of all Somalis.
Okay.
Because life was inexpensive compared to other places.
Mm-hmm.
And you could find jobs like warehouses.
Okay.
And today, we may have over 100,000 families. And at one point, we used to be refugees, but today we're transitioning to that next level.
Right.
Where we purchasing commercials, businesses, we're purchasing land, we're becoming developers of some commercial properties. So life is good, only in America.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
Now, you ran for Columbus City Council. Unfortunately, you did not win. But tell me, what did you learn from that campaign?
The reason why, let me start with the reason why I felt like that I need to run
Please.
for that position. Columbus is home. I think I spent most of my life in Columbus than I spent anywhere on this earth.
Well, you were
So-
what, 10 years old?
At the time when we came. So I'm 40 years old. So 30 years I lived here. So Columbus is home. And some of the things I'm a father. I have 3 kids. I have 2 boys, and my firstborn is a daughter, and she is junior, graduating next year from Westerville North. And some of the things that I, as a kid, when I was growing up, we used to have was no longer there. Especially some of the family values in the educational system, and so the way as an entrepreneur is extremely challenging out here today, especially in the city of Columbus. If you don't play ball, so it's a lot of it's like a high school popularity kind of. It's a cultish kind of mentality, and as a outsider, what we consider ourselves as the outside, it's hard for us to penetrate with those kind of a cultish mentality. And this is our city, and we are no longer a newcomers. And we felt like if we reason with the residents and the people that we are a part of, I think we can make some changes, especially some of the in areas that I grew up on the north side, the Lyndon McKinley area, especially Lyndon area. I think it's the hub on the crime rate. When it comes to crime rate, is one of the highest in this state. And also, there's a lot of food deserts. There's a lot of elders who are suffering. There's a lot of neglect throughout the city. So that is one of the key reasons why I felt like I can make some changes. Let me try. Let me advocate for my community. This is the community that I grew up into. What I learned is that people are no different than each other, regardless of the skin or the color. But we all have principles, values, and we should be respected. So it's been a beautiful process. I enjoy every day, every second, regardless if the person was for me or against me. But at the end of the day, it's a process that I'm really grateful that I experienced, and it's something that I'm proud that the fact that I have the experience.
So what are you doing now to achieve? I know I've gotten to know you pretty well, I think, and I know how dedicated you are to improving things for not just for the Somali community, but
Our community.
all citizens of Columbus, all residents of Columbus. So what sort of projects are you working on now? Tell us about the Commission for New Africans.
The New African Commission has been established almost 10 years ago. And it's ineffective in a way, the way it is and the way it's been formulated. And there's a lot of give to me. And some of the things that I would love to see change is to advocate for the community and make sure that we come out and go throughout the state and educate the community of it's a two-way street. There's some things that community can change within to improve their lives. When it comes to businesses, when it comes to their health, it has to come from within instead of coming from the state. So it's uphill battle because this is a new phenomenon where a lot of people are just used to seeking things. But our mentality with this is that we have to improve ourselves first, then the change can come. So some of the old commissioners, I love them to death. They're really great people, but we have a room to improve.
Well, I think in everything we do in life, there's always room for improvement. And I'm very excited to learn more down the road to see what you're going to accomplish because I know you're going to do some wonderful things. So throughout the state, minority populations have a unique problem, cultural, language, in our public education system. How would you rate Ohio's public education system and what can be done to improve it for minority communities?
Very simple. It's a matter of talking to them, understanding what their needs are, and instead of making a decision for them, have them opportunity to be part of that decision making. Once there's a poll within the community, I think that everything could be. There's a lot of these situations that we have right now can't be eliminated, but no one is reaching out. There's a lot of assumption and decisions are made for them. But I'm sure if there's an opportunity for them to voice their opinion, there could be a lot of improvement, and we could save a lot of money in a lot of different ways. But there's a lot of shenanigans. It's just the way it is.
So do you feel like the public education system here is non-reactive to the Somali, not just the Somali community, but in particular immigrant communities?
Not just immigrant communities. I think in all communities throughout the city or the school district, regardless of which school district it is. To be honest with you, I went through the system before. I as an individual, I went through from middle school, high school, and now my kid is going to Westerfield school system. My 6th grader does not have homework at home. Something is new to me since COVID.
Right.
I still cannot comprehend the fact that kid goes to school and doesn't have homework at home. Yes, they might have maybe something they call connections, and they do it at home, typing. The educational system is not the same education system that I grew into. I don't think I'm having a debate with my wife right now whether this public schooling thing is worth it. We are most likely will have homeschool as we progress moving forward.
Well, one of my many hats that I wear, as you know, is I'm director of Parents' Rights and Education for Ohio. And so I've been working to help improve parent-teacher relations, help get schools focused on academics. But like you, when my son started in middle school, he's a junior now. So he was in, I guess it started 8th grade. COVID hit. And I don't like the fact that everything's on the iPad. You know, for how many years have they preached to us, whoever they are, decrease the amount of screen time you allow your kids. And yet here, everything is done on the iPad or tablet, whatever they call it. But what bothers me the most is it's difficult for me to see it for parents. I want to be able to pull out a piece of paper and really look at it. I suck at math anyway, but they teach it differently. And I was trying to help my son, and it ended up being a big battle because, no, you don't carry the one anymore. You have to do it a different way. But one thing that I've learned with talking with many of mostly Muslim, we have about 20% Muslim students here in Hilliard.
Okay.
And recently, it was last fall, we had about almost 1,300 Muslim families sign a petition to get the sexually explicit books out of our libraries. And they were completely ignored. And in talking to some of those people, I realized that language barrier was an issue. That many of the parents, English was not their first language. And so for them to try and communicate with the schools was a problem, number one. And then they also felt intimidated. They were fearful that if they spoke up because they didn't like what was being taught to their child, that it would put a target on their whole family's back and they'd end up getting kicked out of the country. Have you heard anything like that within your community?
I have, and unfortunately some families ended up moving from Ohio into other states, or completely moving from the country back to where we came from. And it's unfortunate, and it's a lack of information. And you're right, intimidation is a big factor, and there's a lot of assumptions. And if a lot of families have someone like you who advocate for them and they have access for you, there could be a lot of improvements. But unfortunately, how many leases do we have out there?
Well, that might be a good thing. There's not that many of me. But I think that's a valid point. I think we need to do way better on helping parents from every walk of life be better advocates for themselves and for their children. We have a lot of work to do on that. Yeah. So let's talk politics for a little bit. Now, traditionally, the Somali community has been Democrat, but in this last year or so, we're noticing many of this, not just Somalis, but Africans in general, that we have Kenyans and Libyans and I can't think of the other. It starts with I'll think of it later.
And the police.
Yes, thank you. Communities that are switching to the Republican Party. Why is that?
Well, normally with all the new Americans, if we call them that way, they have they are socially conservative, and there's been a lot of family values issues that has been raised. Has been sort of a it's not the usual way where they are comfortable with some of the issues, especially with the transgender situation or period LGBTQ community, and that's kind of a taboo for all these communities. Now, fortunately, this is America. Everybody can become anything they want.
Right.
Now, officially, if I claim today I'm a white person, you have to respect that, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not. But it's just the way the land of the law is. We have to respect everyone how they are. But there's a lot of shoving on our throats, especially on this new cultures, this new phenomenon when it comes to this new since Obama.
Yeah.
And a lot of people actually voted Democrat because of Obama. But Obama have destroyed a lot of families, unfortunately, because of his policies. Was he the best president? That's still a question mark. But for us, as a community, as a business owner, Trump is a saint. It doesn't matter what. He talks tough. It's just a personality thing.
Right.
In fact, we missed that when he at the White House podium and talking in a very refreshing way. And at the moment, right now, we have in training with a couple of different non-profit organizations such as America for Prosperity, who are training a lot of youngsters. Our goal in the summer is to have a heavy drive of a new registration voters, and fortunately we have built a base where we have a database, but it's to find out each family who's becoming 18 years old for the next 6, 7, 8 months, and we're building on that. We're training for that, and we're trying to make sure with this we emphasize that we have to be part of the change. It's an uphill battle, of course it is, on a daily basis. But if we don't make the change, we can't expect different result. We have to make a change from the ground up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we have to start with the young people. It's a battle I'm having with my own son. He turns 18 in August and has already informed me he's not going to register to vote because he doesn't want to have to serve jury duty. And he's not really into politics per se like I've become, but I'm trying to persuade him that this is one of the most fundamental rights we have in this country is to vote. And if you don't vote, in my opinion, you don't have a right to complain.
If the America stays the trajectory it is right now, America might become, no offense to other countries like Indonesia. Because back in 1994 when we arrived this country and today, it's not the same.
No.
It's like a third world country at the moment in a lot of different ways. And I lived in refugee camp. We used to have on a daily basis 6 to 7 deaths on a daily basis. That was the norm.
Wow.
We become numb to someone dead. There's the body. They're dragging the body. That's fine. Get out of the way. We become numb to it.
Yes, we've kind of lost our humanity.
But when you come to this country where it's like a fantasy world to a lot of people, to a lot of different people who live outside of third world countries, like in Africa and Asia, sometimes even Eastern Europeans, they can tell you the blessing and the value and the way this blessed land is. If we don't prioritize and promote and protect, within 25 years, we could have a different conversation of what he has been, what if we could. So that opportunity is in front of us today. We have to educate people like your son and really inform him and lay it out on him on the table. And hopefully he'll make the right decision.
So last fall, we had the Franklin County Republican Party had a Get Out the Vote rally, 2 separate ones. We had one on the west side at that mosque, and I'm sorry, the name of it eludes me.
Abu Bakr.
Yes. And I remember there was a couple of gentlemen from the mosque who, through translation, were asking leaders that were there, what is the Republican Party going to do for me? What would be your response to someone asking that question?
The Republican Party will let you be an American, let you keep your principles. Will have the opportunity for you to have the ability to ask those questions, because if the way other party or the other side you will not have the audacity to ask those kind of questions at all. There will be no platform where you will come up to an official and you ask those questions, because somehow they to be worshipped in a way. It's un-American. They're bullies in a way, if you think about it. If either it's their way or no way,
Right.
you'll be seen as extremist.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I've been labeled as an extremist. And it feels like I was at a seminar a couple weeks ago, and one of the things that was stressed was the liberals on the left, they don't want to work with us. They don't want to negotiate with us. It's plain and simple. You either agree with them or they want to exterminate you. And it's scary that this country has come to that. It used to be we could agree to disagree.
the American way.
Yeah. We talk things out. We trust our lawmakers. We hold them accountable. If they fail us, we just simply don't vote for them. Now it's like with social media, which is unfortunately become a necessary evil to some extent, but it's also the evil part of it is who controls it. So it's hard for us to get our conservative message out. What advice would you give to any new immigrants how to survive in this country and make it their American dream be successful?
As you alluded, there's a lot of social engineering that's happening in this country at the moment. There's a lot of experimental new ways where you can see the college camps. That's another whole lot of conversation we cannot get into.
Right.
It's just like the BLM.
Right.
Stick to the principles. The thing about the immigrants is that when they are becoming citizens, they have to know the Bill of Law, the Constitution, the certain amount of votes, the Senate, how many Senates. So stick to those principles and be the American way, which is hold accountable, ask questions. But there's a lot of hesitations, and there's a lot of assumptions, and there's a lot of bullying from the other side.
A lot of fear instilled in them, I do believe. So you've got a wonderful event coming up on June the 1st. Tell me about it.
Yeah, June. We're really excited about it, June 1st. We have, the name of it is Global Somali Awards. We'll have Somalis all over the world in Columbus. We'll have former president of Somalia. We'll have the current deputy prime minister. We'll have the current foreign minister. And the whole goal of it is to award for those who have contributed positively into, because for the past 33 years, Somalia has been a shambles. It's been completely destroyed. So we're just coming out of the ashes. And Columbus is a great place where we can have that defining moment. Yes, we have a system that's functioning, but it's not strong. It's not perfect. There's a lot of corruption. And I think with this new generation and this new chapter, we can rewrite. There's a lot of analogy that I make with the Somalis. It's in the Bible. What is it? The first 40 years when Moses came, break the Jewish from the Pharaohs, and for 40 years they kind of wandered around. I'm like, we're in the same path. We got for that 40 years we'll be the same way. But that's terrible analogy, I know. But
no, I get it.
Yeah. But so this event is to hopefully we extend the invitation to the governor, lieutenant governor, obviously Congressman Kerry, Congressman Warren Davidson, who happen to be in the Foreign Affairs Committee, and we are trying to make sure we have a good setting. We have a lot of investors from back home who want to invest Central Ohio. So as the American way, there was a time we were refugees, but today we transitioned to that next level, and we're part of the American dream. So this whole weekend, it'll be more of a get to know each other, both the investors from back home and the state of Ohio, and at the same time, award for those who have contributed positively throughout the community all over the world.
That's exciting. So one last question. Unfortunately, what we're seeing with the social engineering, in my opinion, is some bad representation of the Somali community with the squad, with Elon, Omar, Rashida Tlaib, and the others. A lot of Americans, natural-born American citizens, have, unfortunately, a negative view of the Somali community, the Muslim community, because of those two women and others. And I forget his name, but the gentleman that's here in Columbus running for State Rep District 3 that on Election Day when he won, and his speech was completely 100% every word in Somali. And he made the statement, and I'm paraphrasing, that he is there for the Somali community, not the whole community. So for those people who have that negative viewpoint, tell them why your entire community is not like that.
No, that we're completely different from that. If I started off with the squad, especially with Ilhan Omar, we are trying to raise money for her opponent, whoever that might be. Because the picture, the narrative that she's selling to the average American is not accurate. It's terrible, and we cannot stand. That's why we didn't invite her to this event, because it's completely different. And I think it's un-Somali. The way she's behaving and some of the stuff she's saying. And we understand that she has lobbyists who are making it say things that she needs votes, she needs money for that, and she has to say certain things in order to please their masters. Well, it's completely respectful. I mean, not respectful, but we understand why she is. If I come back to this incident that happened in the primary election, that shows you the immaturity of the individual, unfortunately. It's a whole district. And he forgot the whole campaign it was completely a mess. And there was a time where when I was running, he had an interview with LGBTQ community magazine, Blaze, that was the name of it. And he had called them and they had an interview with him, and he actually said that I was flaming some of the LGBTQ. And that time, I think there was a passing of two bills, one for HB...
The SAFE Act bill?
SAFE Act bill, it was another one. And he claimed to be a victim from the Somalis because Farxaan is flaming this kind of issues, which I really never made any kind of statement. I have respect the community, the LGBTQ, and I never really make any kind of against or for any kind of statement. So it's more of a maturity level for that individual. Yeah, he completely misremembered. He's running for a whole district.
Right.
He's not in Somalia, but it's unfortunate.
It is. Well, I hope that our listeners will reach out more to the Somali community, to our immigrant community members, and just be good neighbors. And thank you so much for being here. I'm looking forward to seeing what wonderful things you're going to do. This has been Straight Shot Politics.